You need to push a Docker image to AWS ECR from an EC2 instance. Walk me through the steps.
Sure. Pushing a Docker image to AWS ECR involves several steps. Here's how I would do it. Create a repository in AWS ECR. I'd start by creating a repository in AWS ECR using either the AWS Management Console or the AWS CLI. AWS ECR create repository -- repository name my app repo. This provides me with a repository URL where the image will be stored. Create security credentials, access key and secret key. Next, I generate an IAM user with Amazon EC2 Container Registry full access permission. Then, I retrieve the access key and secret key, which will be used for authentication. Configure AWS CLI on the EC2 instance. On my EC2 instance, I configure the AWS CLI with the credentials AWS configure. I provide the access key, secret key, region, and output format. Authenticate the Docker CLI to AWS ECR. AWS ECR requires authentication before pushing images. So I authenticate Docker using AWS ECR get login password -- region name Docker login -- username AWS -- password sit-in with a repository URL. If the login is successful, Docker is now authorized to push images. Tag the Docker image. Before pushing, I tag my Docker image to match the ECR repository URL. Docker tag name myapplatest with repository URL with image name myapprepo_latest. Push the Docker image to AWS ECR. Now I push the image to AWS ECR. Docker push ECR repository URL image name myapprepo_latest. Validate the image on AWS ECR. Finally, I verify that the image was pushed successfully using AWS ECR list images -- repository name myapprepo. I can also check through the AWS Management Console under the ECR repository. By following this process, I ensure a secure and structured approach to managing Docker images on AWS ECR.